Hello, Dr. Grissom. This is Belsarian, and this is my Sprint 2 YouTube video. So first of all, I'm going to be showing you the new features demo. So as you can see here, there's just a bunch of random things seemingly on this page. And that is because my task for this Sprint 2 was to do styling. And then work on a few components, and it all kind of meshed together just because components were so interwoven with styling. But basically, my job was to decide what colors and begin just applying like formatting, spacing, colors, design, all that to every single aspect or component of the app. So as you can see here, we have, first of all, an example button, and then right above that, we have example text of what text, like big text on a screen, will look like. At the very top, we have one of the headers, so I'll show you later, but in the code, I basically created a component with all different types of headers that can have a plus, a hamburger menu, and these are each touchable opacities to be able to interact with. And we have yet to set that up. But I just created this example page to just to be able to start applying styling. And then below that, it won't really make sense unless you're looking at our wireframes, but basically we have a page that's team list, and these little components are going to list each team on a user's team list view page. And this is what it's going to look like. And this whole bottom rectangle will be a touchable opacity, but right now it's just a little component. So yeah, that was everything we were doing. And then I hope to add keyboard avoiding view and different things like that. But just this week was just styling, putting things together, and there's more example stuff, but this is what's on my screen right now. So continue with the video, I'm going to go on to the GitHub check-in. So this is basically just showing you that yes, I have done GitHub check-ins. I've been doing it for the past 12 days, from creating the styles folder, and these are all the check-ins that I did. And so now I'm going to go through my code highlights. So I think this was from Sprint 1, I believe. But this was just simply getting everything set up and creating that styles folder. Or maybe that, yeah. Yes? Yes. And then, let's see, next. This was just a simple getting everything set up. And here is, I think, where I start really getting into, okay, got it. So here's just me making the basic course styles.js sheet, and this is later going to change to just example styles and then styles.js. But as you can see, I've made within the mobile folder, within the app folder, and then I created a styles folder, and then within that I created a course styles.js, and this was just me creating basic styling. So as you can see, I have the styles component, and then I have the buttons, and then I export those at the bottom. Next, let's see what I did. Looks like I just was installing things. Okay. So I didn't really understand how this works, so we can ignore this. This was later deleted, but I began editing my index.js file, and here we go. Created an example screen in my screens folder. And this was what I showed you in the live demo of a screen that just had all of the components and styling, just a screen to host all the changes that I was making, put all the components on it. It's not an actual page we're going to be using for the app, but it was a place where I could test all the styling and make all the adjustments without having to worry about messing with an actual screen. And then here I continued changing styles, and as you can see, I changed it to example styles, and then let's see, example button. Looks like I installed something. So many installs, my goodness. Can ignore this. Oh yes, and I started playing with Redux, and that wasn't working. Yeah, a lot of this sprint was me getting even more familiar with React Native, I think, and just becoming familiar with how the different packages work and what packages I needed for what I was doing. I was kind of looking at old examples of stuff we had done last semester in mobile app, and kind of playing around with it, seeing what worked, what didn't, and not really knowing what I needed until I tried it. But I had a good amount of fun just breaking things and then trying to piece them back together, which is kind of how I learn best. But here I went in index.js. I started playing with React Navigator, and just creating an app stack and having the example screen be the screen. And I was trying to play around with the header component built into React Stack. What am I saying? React Navigator. So I was playing with the status bar, and I imported all the styles into this example screen and just started kind of putting things together. And as you can see, I put a button and was just trying to play with making a header rather than using the navigation header. I was trying to make my own. And here's the main text or main content. And then in example styles, as you can see, I added quite a lot. This was where I started, I began adding like main parts of the styling. So top level container, this is what this would look like. And I added a background color to that, and then header bar style. So just trying to get all of the alignment right, which took a lot of playing around with and learning what justified content meant, and align items, align content, align self, and my goodness, there's so many aligns and justifies. By making a center container, left, right, center text, all these different parts of the styling, and then body container, and then text, what text would look like, and then what buttons, button container, the button text, the view style, all these things. So this part was just, again, playing with styling. Next, looks like I continued with trying to figure out headers. It looks like this time I was trying to use React Navigation to add a header rather than create my own. So I created a component, it looks like, or not. It was in index.js. And so here in example screens, I tried applying that, adding my custom header. I think I copied and pasted this from online, and then began trying to play with it and see how I could make it work. And then scroll view, added that. Let's see, here's more style stuff that I changed. Title bar is just commenting things out and playing around, seeing what worked. Let's see, where's next? Next, I went on to, okay, there's nothing here. Move on. There we go. I think I accidentally deleted the styles at one point, so I had to like put all that back. But this was me playing with forms, so I tried downloading this library, Tcomb Form Native, and just tried seeing like how they created forms and what worked. I didn't end up liking it and so I deleted the form component that they had. But it was interesting to try out and see how it worked for them, but I didn't quite like the styling. And then I began starting to play with the drawer navigation, which is a feature that we're hoping to add because one of the main navigating features of our app is to have a hamburger menu in the upper left, and then from that be able to get to all the main pages. So that will basically, we have the main stack of coming from splash screen to login screen to, or create new account screen to etc. etc. And then once we get to the home page or the team list view of for a user, then within that there's going to be a sub stack. And so I wanted to start trying to play around with adding a drawer navigation and being able to make that Substack accessible. As you can see, I forgot the E in drawer. We're going to ignore that. And so an example screen, I started, and here's when I started not liking the form library that I had downloaded, so I started deleting that, changing more styling, etc., etc. Next, let's see. So I tried adding the drawer component, but that didn't really work out. But here we go. So here's where, it looks like I'm still using that form, and I ended up deleting that later. Here we go. Okay, this is where I really started to put together the header and create a custom header component. And this was me dividing up, because basically within the app, we're going to have many different we're going to have one header style, obviously, but there's going to be different headers depending on what kind of navigation needs to happen within the screen. So, for example, if there's no back button, no hamburger menu, no anything, just text, we're just going to need the center text. So it's just going to be like the home or the login page. And then if we have a drawer, then we'll need a drawer in the left. So then we'll have that on the left side, or a drawer and a plus sign on the right, or a header with a back button, and then playing with all the navigation, deleting all that nasty form stuff. And then I tried creating a login example page, but ended up not using that. And then here I am just going ham with the styling. This is when I started putting together, looks like, yes, okay, so I started making variable names for all the main colors that we would be using, so like black 1, black 2, black 3. So this is like the darkest of our shades, medium, light, and then white for white, just to make things a little easier in reference and making typing a little quicker. But basically, I discussed with the team making the app's coloring on the darker side, just because of the nature of our app, it being for search and rescue and the kind of situations it'd be used in, to optimize battery life. And we thought that it'd be best to just create, I guess you could call it a permanent dark mode, or just it's just the mode. It's not dark mode, it's just the mode. But that's basically just to save battery life and just use darker color theme all around. You probably noticed in my live demo that all the colors were darker. They won't be dark for all the others, because we haven't applied styling to any of the other, the screens that my teammates have made. But that's going to be my job, which I'll discuss later in this coming Sprint 3. But anyway, so I continued to do form styling, and then I created individual styles for each type of header, so just aligning everything and making it not look crazy. So I don't know how long you want this. This is becoming quite long. But as you can see, that was the final one. And then, okay, this is, I think, my last thing that I did in Sprint 2. But this was to create that team list component. So it was kind of that weird rectangle that I couldn't do anything with in the demo. So that will be in team list view, and this was just me, first of all, making the styling. So again, going ham on styling, and then just creating the custom component. As you see, it's going to have name, status, admin, name, size of the team, and then description of the search. But I needed to add a new styling so that we could, that looked not crazy also, because it was, all the margins were off. But that was it, yeah. So lastly, so I showed you the new code. So next I am going to show you next sprint features. So I watched your YouTube video about how we're supposed to do this. I wasn't really sure what you meant exactly, but I thought that I would just show you. So there's this. I don't know if this means anything to you. It doesn't really mean anything to me. But here is our sprints. So as you can see in sprint 1, my job was to set up the node.js server, which actually ended up kind of falling onto Erin's lap, in that I did a lot of research, she did a lot of research, and as we were all doing research, she ended up figuring out how to set it up. So she set it up while I kind of helped her out on it, but it all got done, and we're still actually kind of setting certain things up. But that was completed, and then as you can see here, my job was to start styling, and then I continued to do research on all this. But sprint 1 ended up being more of a research sprint for a lot of us. Wyatt and Erin took on a lot of work of basically like setting up a lot of the things. I kind of helped set up the database, then did some research on AWS, and then was helping her do some Mongo. We all kind of shared the work in this sprint, so it was a bit hard to divide up, but it all got done, and it looks like none of us really updated hours. But I'm gonna ignore that. Sprint 2. But yeah, definitely for sprint 1, we kind of overestimated how many hours we needed. So not to worry. I swear we did a lot. But sprint 2 is really where we got the gears in line and had the ball rolling. I don't know what phrases I'm using, but so my task was style sheet. I ended up having quite a lot of fun doing it. I think I'm finding I'm really enjoying styling. I'm enjoying this semester a lot. But so I probably spent a lot more time than 15 hours, but I logged 15. Just as I think a lot of it wasn't even necessarily working on making progress on the app, but just kind of playing around and having fun with making styling in the app and enjoying myself. So I spent about 15 hours, more than that, doing styling and creating components and testing them out and kind of importing libraries and just kind of having a grand old time doing that. Cecilia and I worked, and Wyatt, actually. Where's Wyatt? Wyatt is not listed. He did, I don't know, why is Wyatt not here? Well, anyway, Wyatt also did components. Oh, it is because he's there. I don't know how to expand this, but he's also listed here. Here it is. See, you can see why it's there. But yeah, they worked on components together, and then I worked with Cecilia mainly, a little bit with Wyatt, but kind of took her components and then started applying styling to them. But that will all kind of manifest in sprint 3, which is coming up. So my job is going to be merging styling. So I did all this styling. Kyle, Rebecca, and Erin did an amazing job of making all these wireframes and making all the screens and like making a test page and being able to do all the navigation. Oh, it looks gorgeous. So now my job is going to be taking the styling that I did and taking the components that, or taking my styling, taking the wireframes, and taking the components, and just mashing them all together in one big mess. Hopefully a stylistic mess. In other words, not a mess. So I'm going to be taking everything that we did in Sprint 2 and merging it together and just starting to apply the styling to every single page, applying the components that Wyatt and Cecilia made and applying them to every single page, and just basically getting the shell of the app not just existing, but looking how we want it to look. And while I'm doing that, the others are going to be, or Cecilia and Wyatt, or, oh yeah, Cecilia's going to start working on navigation, and I'm going to be working with Cecilia to start getting the drawer navigation working, which she kind of showed me that she had working, which it looked great. And then Wyatt is going to be continuing to work on components. I think one of them he was going to work on were like alerts and like pop-ups and things like that. But Kyle and Rebecca, I believe they're both assigned to this. They're going to be working on researching how to do heat map integration, because last semester they did some Google Maps integration already, just because of their final app, which was like a Metro or like, I don't remember what it was, but they used maps for it. In the meantime, Erin's going to be doing a lot of the user authentication stuff, and I'll be kind of helping her with that to get the forms looking how they're supposed to, and everybody's going to be helping each other. But yeah, I think that was all that you wanted. I hope I did okay. You're probably not listening at this point, but if you are, thank you, Dr. Grissom. And yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this project, and